What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? It's the first of the month. I am Angela, and this is
Lamar.
And we are Lamar and Angela. We are so excited for you to be able to join us again for the first of the month. So grab your chips and get. You still don't know it.
You showed it to me, but I don't.
That
wasn't my thing.
It's the first of the month. Anyway, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Okay, yeah. So we are here this morning, and today is, or this afternoon. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. This afternoon, we are so grateful that you stopped by our little abode to join us on our first of the month series. This afternoon, we're going to be having a conversation with our immigration consultant, and we wanted to open it up for you guys as well, so that you all could also see and hear and ask questions and all this kind of stuff. Because if there's one thing that I hear a lot of persons asking about moving to Mexico, or our experience of moving to Mexico, is how do you get the process started? What's it like? How do you do it? Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we could offer this information and make it available to you, our subscribers and our fam, so that you would be able to know how you too can perhaps come to Mexico.
Right.
Today is July 1st. Do you know what that means?
This is we've been here 1 year and a day.
A year and a day.
Yep.
It's been a whole year.
Yep. A year and a day.
Man, this year has gone by fast.
Yes, it has.
This year has gone by super fast, and it's just been a whirlwind. We've learned so much.
Right.
We've learned so much during the course of this whole
learned a lot.
Year.
Learned a whole lot from looking for homes, language, culture, and things like that. How things are done here versus in the United States.
Right.
General home stuff, or shopping, or traffic, driving, that kind of thing. How things just generally work, and
it's been a lot. Yeah. And I know we're still plugging through all of the video that we have taken, because we documented our entire journey of our move from Maryland to Mexico. So all of those videos, I mean, we're talking thousands of hours of video that has to be plugged through so we can bring some more content to you. But if you've been subscribed to our channel, you know that we are at the place now where we're about to begin our House Hunter series.
Right.
So we're going to show you how we actually came about finding the place that we are living in.
Right.
And we're going to be offering up some other tips for you as well, so that you could be able to find your own place. And we're going to be exploring some different neighborhoods in Querétaro and being able to show what places are like for a family.
Yes, for a family.
So that's coming up, and stay tuned to that. But right now,
yes, this guy right here is the coolest guy.
The coolest.
Yeah. He is a real cool guy. I remember he flew in like Superman in his car.
Oh yeah. We gotta tell that story. Gotta definitely tell you that story.
He showed up in his car and saved us. And he definitely is one of those assets that you need to have here in Mexico.
Absolutely. And so we every time someone asks us, who do we recommend, we always send everyone to this guy right here. Hello.
Hey,
hi,
Mario.
How are you?
Awesome. This is Mario Anguiano of EXO Consulting. This is who we always recommend if you have questions with your immigration status, or questions about how to even get the process. This is the guy that we send you to.
Not me.
Well, not you.
Him.
That guy.
That guy.
That guy. He's the guy that we always try to send people to. So we're thankful that Mario took some time this afternoon. It's a beautiful day before the rain starts.
Yes.
It is a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And glad that he could come join us so that you guys could be here and ask your questions. I've already compiled, you've already hit me up with some of the questions that y'all wanted me to ask and make sure that was in our list.
Yep.
And so I've already got them loaded, locked and loaded. But if you have some other questions that you want to know or some other things that you might want to ask or what have you, be sure to hit the tag in the link below so you'll be able to join our live chat.
Right.
We're live right now on both Facebook and YouTube so that you could be able to do that. So howdy, y'all. Howdy, Mario.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And you guys have been great to me, and you're a pleasure to work with. And I'm happy to be of such help to you. And I hope that we can get some good information out for your audience.
Good.
Yes,
absolutely.
Okay. So I've come locked and loaded with our questions ahead of time. So the very first question that we get all the time is, what are the different types of visas? And even what's the difference between a visa and an FMM? I mean, what can you break that down for our folks?
Yeah, of course. First, the audio is okay. So this sound good?
Yeah, it's good.
If you guys can hear or can't hear or need us to turn up the volume a little, hit us in the chat box below. So we'll go ahead and make sure that happens for you.
Yeah, please let me know. So, different types of visas. There's like a lot of information out there of what kind of visas you can get when coming to Mexico. It's usually ways. You can set them apart by ways of how to apply, because the visa is practically just two types of visa. One is the permanent residency visa, and two is the temporary residency visa, and of course the tourist visa. So the names that people put on them, it's what kind of sets them apart. So what you call an FMM is like the tourist visa. FMM is the actual form of entry that they give to you so you can be legally inside of Mexico when you are from a country that doesn't require a visa to enter to Mexico, like the US, like Canada, like a lot of countries. So when you're not required to have a previous visa to enter Mexico as a visitor, then you come here, you get an FMM, which is a form of entry, which right now it's being all computerized, so you don't get an actual like physical form in most of the points of entry. But it's the same thing. You get up to 180 days to stay here inside of Mexico and just visit, go around, and it's important for you to keep that paper with you, so in case you get pulled over, you can show that you're legally in here.
Now, I remember during the pandemic, when a lot of folks that came to visit Mexico got here and then wasn't necessarily able to leave or what have you, or some people were just kind of doing border hops to avoid the immigration process. So they would come to Mexico, get a tourist visa, stay for 180 days, and then right before the 180 days were over, they would hop over the border to the United States and then hop back and get a whole fresh 180 days. Can you do that?
It's possible. The law allows it, but it is it is very like flexible. The law is very flexible, and immigration officers have like free agency to do how they please, how they think, and just to enforce their criteria to every specific case. So it is not very advisable if you have like long-term plans in Mexico. If you're just here for vacation, for exploring, it's okay. You can just come here and get as many days as they want to give you. And then whenever it's about to expire, then you just leave, and maybe you come back right away and get another like 1 month, 2 months, or 6 months. But they are not like forced to give you 180 days. They can give you 1 day, they can give you 1 week, 1 month, whatever they think it's it's fit for you. I mean, depending on your plans, they can ask, "Hey, what are you doing here?" You say, "I'm here to I don't know to go to Cancun." They say, "Okay, you don't need more than 2 weeks," and they will give you 2 weeks, and you have to leave before those 2 weeks, or then you will be illegal.
So getting the 180 days is not guaranteed.
That's
Are
right.
you at the discretion of the mercy of the customs or the immigration officer when you come to get off the plane?
Yeah, that's right. You approach the counter, like the immigration, like little kiosk that's in the airport, and they will. I mean, usually it's very likely that you will get like 6 months or a lot of time, but it is not like guaranteed. So there were a lot of people that during COVID were rejected or were just left with 1 week or 2 weeks here in Mexico, and so those people that are like commonly or frequently visiting Mexico are starting to turn into temporary residents because it is it is very affordable. It is not the process right now is not that complicated, and it gives you a lot of benefits to become a temporary resident if you are and frequently visiting Mexico.
Okay. Okay. So then our very next question. So that you can become a tourist, or you could have a tourist visa, or you'd mention temporary and or permanent residency visas.
Right.
What's the difference between the temporary versus the permanent residency visa?
Nowadays, there's not much differences since the law was updated back in 2012, around that time. There were used to be called like FM3, FM2, and they have different benefits, and so people were looking for that, depending on what were their plans here in Mexico. But right now, it's pretty similar. The main thing I mean, from one to another, it's the renewals. As a temporary resident, you have to be renewing in order to keep your resident status. As a permanent resident, you don't have to be renewing. I mean, you're permanent. You just have to be. I mean, take care of your residency card. Take care of not like losing it, getting it robbed, or something like that. And the right now the benefits come when like applying for like services provided by like private institutions, like maybe banks. Some banks just allow for permanent residents to have bank accounts. Most of them are already allowing temporary residents to have bank accounts because they have their internal rules not that updated yet. So it is very specific. What I mean, it's just a minimum amount of things that you cannot do as a temporary resident. It's just mainly the not having to be renewing every year, and of course, the way of applying it's more complicated for some people. But if you can apply or you can be eligible for a temporary instead of a permanent, it's as good as the permanent if you can just become a temporary.
Okay.
Now, I know one thing that we were able to do as temporary residents that I don't believe you can do as a permanent is be able to drive our foreign plated car here in Mexico. Is that right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people that can be eligible for a permanent residency prefer the temporary because they want to bring their cars. And as a permanent resident, you have to legalize your car and do like a very complicated and expensive process. And even sometimes it's not possible. Instead of if you are a temporary, you can just get a temporary import permit and bring any car here for as long as you have your temporary residency.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Right. That's always good to know. So then, okay, so we've got your tourist visa you can come in as, or you could be a temporary resident or a permanent resident. So what is the process, the actual process? What gets it going in terms of becoming a temporary or permanent resident when you start the whole thing? Can I come here to Mexico and decide I like it, I want to stay? Can I apply here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very wide answer, so I'm gonna try to kind of sum it up because procedures here in Mexico are, I mean, vary from office to office, from clerk to clerk, from consultant to consultant, even. So it is good for, I mean, for people to know the nature of it more than just the specifics. So uh, first, we have a temporary and a permanent resident. You can apply for a temporary residency through different paths. One of them is the economic solvency, which is one of the most common and easier in terms of, I mean, if you have enough solvency, enough wealth, you can apply for a temporary residency and just, I mean, there's two steps involved in it. One, you go first through a consulate, you go to an interview, which as long as you have your papers in order, it's pretty smooth, pretty easy, and pretty fast. If not, maybe they can give you a hard time. You have to come back. So it is advisable for you to get some consultancy or some help for you to avoid any, hassles or extra visits to the consulate. That's the first visit to the first stage of it. But then you have to come to Mexico and finish the process. At the consulate, you will get a temporary or a permanent residency visa, which is the stamp on your passport, and then you come to Mexico and you exchange that visa for a residency card, which is the completion of the process. Once you get your card, then you are officially a resident. Okay, so that's one way. Uh, every other way, it's pretty similar in terms of the stages because you have to go through the consulate and then through immigration here in Mexico.
So you go to the consulate in your home country, wherever your home country is. You can't do it here in Mexico. You have to do it in your home country first.
Right.
Yes, not precisely in your home country, but outside of Mexico.
Outside of Mexico. Gotcha.
It's like two different authorities. One, it's immigration, and one, it's a consulate, which is part of the External Affairs Office.
Oh.
So they have to like work like together for them to validate the visa, and then immigration kind of makes it official.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
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 And that being said, there's many ways that you can be eligible. I mean, not that many, but some. You can get a work visa, which is a temporary residency visa, but through a job offer, which means that you will have to get a company to employ you here in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a student visa, which is very similar to the work visa because you have to get a school to accept you and to give you a letter of acceptance here, so you can apply for that, and you also have to be able to sustain your life here in Mexico. You can get also a family unity visa, which is if you have a relative that's Mexican or a resident here in Mexico, you can apply for a family unification, and that specific process you can do it all within Mexico. So that's one of the easiest ways. That's why people look for someone to marry for the papers. You know, it's very simple. If you are married to a Mexican, or by any chance you have your child here in Mexico, you can become a temporary or a permanent resident.
Get out.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if I was pregnant and had a baby here in Mexico, would that baby's citizenship would allow me to be able to become a resident?
That's correct. I mean, imagine you are right. Even if you are a temporary resident, you have a child here in Mexico. He will be a Mexican-born baby, and through that family unification, you can become skip right away to a permanent residency.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Right. Well, that's not going to happen.
No, we're not doing that again. I've had my kid. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when you first arrive in Mexico, after you've done the part of the work in your whatever country outside of the United States, you come to Mexico, you got 30 days?
Yes, that's correct. Once you get your visa stamp from the consulate, you get 6 months to come into the country. Right. So that visa is going to be valid for 6 months for you to plan your whole trip, do all the arrangements you need, and then once you enter Mexico, you get a 30-day FMM, which is like a 30-day tourist visa, but it is going to be specific for you to be able to complete your process. So it's called I mean, you have to put like canje on the purpose of your visit. Then you go visit the immigration office and complete the process within those 30 days.
Okay. Within the 30. Now, suppose you get to there and you're not able to get an appointment within the 30 days. Are you just considered illegal in the country, or what happens if you're not able to get an appointment at the immigration office?
They are forced to provide you the service as long as you bring all your papers in order. I mean, you can fight them to get your appointment during those 30 days. As long as you start the process during those 30 days or book an appointment during those 30 days, that's depending on the way of processing at the time.
So even if the appointment falls after the 30 days, you've already started the process, you've made your appointment, they will honor that.
So as long as you book that appointment within the first 30 days.
It's not that the appointment has to be within the 30 days, it has to be booked. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And so every office works differently. It's very important that if you are doing this second part of the process here in Mexico, you go and get assistance from somebody that's local or at least knows the process, so you can plan accordingly, because every office works differently and every office has different times and ways of processing. So some of them likes to book appointments. I mean, you get in Mexico, go to the office, they book an appointment either for or within those 30 days or past those 30 days. Both of them are are fine. Some of them give you just a service on the same day. They take like walk-ins, but you have to stand in line through like all night for you to get a number. So it is every office works differently, and so I would recommend for at the time of your visit to approach somebody that can help you to know what's the deal at the moment.
Okay. So you've booked your appointment. You've got your appointment, or you've got your residency.
Got your card. Yep.
What do I do with it? Should I treat it like my passport? Do I have to have it on me at all times? I mean,
or does it substitute for the passport? Do you have to have your passport and your residency card with you?
It doesn't substitute the passport, because passport, it's like an international ID document, right? So that can help you in your home country, here in Mexico, in any other country. And the residency card, it's more like an ID. So you can just carry it's important for you to carry your residency card at all times for you to be able to ID yourself in case anything happens. And that's what validates your legal entry or your legal stay here in Mexico. The passport, you don't have to be carrying it everywhere, because it's not going to make like a difference, because you already identify yourself with a residency card.
Okay.
But when you exit and you enter Mexico, you do have to show your passport and your residency card at all times.
Okay. And now, since you're a resident, you can enter the country. You can enter in the residence line or the citizens line, as opposed to the tourist.
Yeah.
That's correct. Most points of entry allows you to go into resident line. Some of them are still like, no, you are still a foreigner, you go into a foreign line. Either way, the important part is that when you enter Mexico, either you go by the resident or the foreigner line, you show your card to the officer, and they register you as a resident.
Okay.
So anybody that takes your entry, you show them your card, you say, I'm a resident, and so they can give you the proper register when you enter.
Now, I remember one thing that the consulate office told us when we were applying last year, and we got the visa, that gave us the 6-month time period to get to Mexico, they were very adamant and told us to be sure to not let them mark you as a tourist,
Right.
because it will start the whole process all over again.
Right.
And it will almost invalidate that visa that you just worked so hard to get.
Yes, yes. As like a side note, the tip. Some people, I mean, the system for like keeping track of exits and entries for foreigners, even when they're residents, it is not that strict. So there's people that even just come here, don't show their visa. They just get the regular stamp as a tourist, come here to I don't know, vacations, go back, and then they just plan their trip to come here and do the canque, and that's when they show their visa, and it kind of works the same. It's not advisable, but because you can, I mean, it's not going to work every time. But if by any chance you forgot to show your visa and they register you as a tourist, it's better than you kind of try it again. Just exit as a tourist and then try it and say like, hey, this is my first time coming as a as a resident, and give it a try, because if not, then you have to start over. If you enter without and they register you as a tourist, it invalidates your visa. If your visa is valid for just one entry, as you well said. Um, so if you're coming here to do the second part of the process, it is very important. It is essential for you to show the visa stamp. They have to stamp it, and they have to write canque and 30 days over it.
Okay. Yeah, that was really a big thing. So when you first get your residency, are you automatically just given 1 year for your temporary residency?
Yes, in a temporary residency, it's a 4 year temporary residency, because that's how long you can like keep it, as long as you keep your renewals in time. But for the first year, it's just like an kind of unwritten rule that every office just likes to give you 1 year, and then when that year ends, you can renew for either 1, 2, or 3 years.
Ah. Is it possible to get 4 off the bat? Right from the start?
Not anymore. I mean, like any almost, I haven't heard of any office doing that anymore.
Okay. Now I know now that we've been here a year, we've had our renewal process, but can you explain to our guests, how do you renew your visa?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like I said, this visa is valid for 4 years. So now that it is validated by the consulate, you don't have to go through the consulate anymore. So you just have to keep your renewals in order with the immigration office here in Mexico. So in the process, it's going to be pretty similar as the one that you did the first time. You just have to, I mean, make sure that you are working and the way that the process is being done at the time. But you fill out your forms, fill out your letters, get your copies, be there on time, make your payments, and get an appointment over there. It is supposed to be very, very easy. The important part about the renewal process is that you have to declare or like state that the conditions or the way that you acquire your residency the first time, those conditions are still the same. So in this case, if you apply through an economic solvency, you just have to write a letter that says, every condition, I mean, remains the same. I still have enough solvency to stay here, and that's it. If you got here or you get your residency through your marriage, you have to say like, I'm still married, and your wife has to, or your husband has to sign. And that every time, depending on how you obtain your residency.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, once you get to the 4-year mark with your temporary residency, can you renew a temporary again, or
does that kind of automatically go, if you want, to a permanent?
You cannot keep your temporary residency for more than 4 years. There, no law is gonna allow that. If you want to remain a temporary resident, you have to exit Mexico or let your residency expire
Wow.
and start all over again.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So you cannot keep that. And at the end of the 4th year, the beginning of the fifth, you are eligible automatically, but it is not an automatic process for you to become a permanent. You still have to do like the procedure to get your permanent residency card, which is
Okay.
very similar to a renewal. It's just like different papers and different forms, but in terms of the stages of the process, you just have to pay a visit to the immigration office, bring all your file in order, and then they will change your temporary residency card for a permanent residency card.
Is there a fee for the change for the temporary to permanent?
Yes, you have to pay a fee for the like for like the filing of the process, and then a fee for issuing of the card.
Okay.
Right now, it's around 7,500 pesos.
7,500 pesos, which is in
Currently.
with the current
Right.
is
Yeah,
around
with current
$437.
$437.
Okay.
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 All right.
All right. But that was a very good point that you made about the having to start the whole process over again. The residency, or at least from the time that we started looking into Mexico and looking at what the economic requirements have been, those dollar amounts in terms of the pesos that's required
It's changing.
keeps going up.
Yeah.
So the price that originally things were back in 2020 is way different from what it is now. And I'm assuming the price will continue to increase because it's tied to the minimum wage. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's tied to minimum wage, and that kind of keeps increasing with inflation and new growth policies and all of that. So as long as minimum wage keeps increasing, it's gonna keep increasing.
Oh, okay. Okay, so yesterday's price is not tomorrow's price.
Right.
Yes. So if you qualify right now and you have a plan to come to Mexico in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, just do the residency right now, get that out of the way, and just prepare. Then you can plan like more freely and without you having to worry about qualifying the next year.
That's a good question. Because that was actually one of the questions that one of our viewers asked. They said, the question, she said, I would like to move to Mexico when I retire in 2025. Can I apply for my residency now, or is it best to wait until then?
Yeah, the beauty of it is that once you go through the economic solvency validation, once you meet the financial requirements one time, then you don't have to be meeting them at the time of renewal every year. So if you can meet them right now, unless you're planning to increase your wealth or your salary next year by the same amount, it is advisable for you to just get it done right now before the requirements go up like a lot, because last couple of years they have gone up like 25% each year, almost. So it is some people, that thought about starting it like in December, they couldn't find like an appointment at the consulate for the visa, and by January they were not. They won't qualify anymore. So.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And now I know also that if there is for people who are trying to qualify based on economic solvency and don't have all their ducks in a row, for some countries, you have to live there in order to have your residency. Is Mexico one of those countries that requires that you have to be here a certain number of days out of the year, or how does Mexico do it?
No, there's no minimum requirement of days that you have to spend in Mexico in order to keep your residency. They will tell you, I mean, at the consulate, at the immigration office, they will say like you have to be here or you're gonna lose your residency. But that's not true. That's not in the nowhere in the law. You cannot. I mean, you're not required to stay here as a. I mean, for a minimum amount of days. Or but if you are planning to become a citizen, then you cannot. I mean, by the time you apply for citizenship, you cannot be out of the country for more than 6 months
Okay.
during the last 2 years prior to your application. That's the only time where you do have to be here in Mexico for a specific amount of time in order to get your procedure done. But for residency, it doesn't make a difference. We have clients that just get residency, come here, do the do the canque, then go back, come here next year to do the renewal for 3 years, and then they just come back. And I mean, they're just planning to come back in a couple of years to get the permanent, or I mean, just to move completely.
Okay. And that was another question that someone asked. They asked, which is the best consulate to apply for residency?
Well, the answer would be the best for your situation, your specific situation. Everybody has different like documents, different financial situation. So the general idea would be to look for a consulate that would fit your situation. But if you're asking about like the lowest requirement consulates, most of them are. I mean, the ones that I recommend are like on the south of the U.S. I mean, talking about just the U.S.
Yeah.
It is for McAllen, Texas, for Phoenix, Arizona, Tucson. Also, I mean, those are like a kind of the lowest, but there's some of them that most of them are just kind of in the middle, and usually the ones in the south are more easygoing, are more helpful. Atlanta, Georgia, we have had good experiences with Chicago, with Orlando, with Houston. They're very efficient. Also, the ones there are some consulates that only get people or serve people from their area.
Right.
So it is important for you to ask for the requirements to the consulate or to your consultant for it to be. I mean, for you not to just go there and they say like, no, we can only take people from the area, and you cannot prove that you are from here. And well, goodbye.
Definitely. So definitely, if you're from the United States, do your homework and ask around, call around to the various different consulates, because the difference in price depends on where you go, and also the difference in the documents that was necessary, that was required, was different too. So you really got to do your homework about what your particular consulate required.
Speaking of homework, one of the questions that we were asked about age and getting, immigration for your child who may be 18 or above.
Oh, right. That was a good question.
Someone asked, my son is 18 and has left for college. We are planning our move to Mexico. Can we include him in our application for residency?
Yeah, that was a really good question, because we have now a son who is 18.
But prior to
But he wasn't 18 when we moved here.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Yeah, I mean, as you might have experienced, I mean, you can attach like economic dependence to your application. Like it can be your spouse, it can be your kids, it can be some legal. If you're like a legal guardian of somebody, you can also attach them. But it has to like fulfill one of those like criteria. So in case of I mean, for overage children, like over 18, they are not, I mean, taking like economic dependence most of the times. Also depends on the consulate. There are some consulates that allow it, and if they are like just 18, they just turned 18 or 19,
It
they
just
can say like, okay,
turned 18.
right on the edge. It's okay. I mean, the consulate have like a lot of like open like criteria like free agency to do. I mean, to grant or deny the visas. So if they want to help you, they will help you. If they don't, they will make it impossible for you. So
Right.
so we have had people that managed to get their like 18 or 19 children as economic dependents, but I wouldn't like rely on that. It's
Right.
not guaranteed. You can give it a try. We can prepare everything so it is, you have the best shot at it as possible, but it is not guaranteed. So the best way of guaranteeing is to prepare him to apply for economic solvency himself. And I mean, in terms, I don't know, just put some money into an account for him,
Right.
and just leave it like that. So after like 6 or 12 months, time frame, they can go to the consulate and apply for a temporary residency on their own.
Right.
That would be like I mean, the best way of doing it.
Right. Because our oldest, who's now 27, she had to apply and meet the criteria all on her own dime.
Right.
Versus our two younger ones who were 17 and 16 at the time that we applied.
Right.
Well, actually, it was 15 and
15 and
was he turned?
He had turned.
They were still very much way under
right.
18 when we applied, and so now they're
so
residents.
So the other thing that's one of the questions was in that realm of age. What if you have a elderly parent or a child or elderly parent that may be disabled or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Or we have a new guest.
Yeah. But yeah, so if someone has like a dependent who is disabled or has some sort of economic issue where they depend, or if you have elderly parents, if you take care of an elderly parent that lives with you, will they have to meet those financial guidelines separate and above your independent of your guideline or your financial solvency, or can they come in under your solvency?
So the other way around, it's better because as if you have a parent that's even if it's not, if they are not disabled or like very elderly, you can attach them as dependents for being your parents, or like even easier, attach them like after you complete your residency through family unification. Doesn't matter if you are, I mean, 5-year-old, 18-year-old, 40-year-old, you are always allowed to bring your parents as residents through family unification.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
So
another question that we hear from time to time also is which I&M office in Mexico is better for completing your residency paperwork? Do you have to I know when we first got here, we were staying in an Airbnb.
Right.
So, and I know there are others who like to, I want to go maybe to Puerto Vallarta,
or go to San Miguel,
or go to Cancun, or go to Oaxaca, and all that kind of stuff, and they don't have necessarily a place that they actually live. How do you establish residency when you don't really have a place?
A permanent address, or a permanent place that you live.
This is a very important topic because some people think that every office works, I mean, the same. And some people think that they can just come here, do some little vacation, and they will get their procedure done. And it doesn't work like that most of the time because immigration offices are very unpredictable in terms of how they handle processes, and they are very also like inefficient sometimes, most of the times, and it can get even like corrupt. So the first like criteria would be, if, I mean, it's better for you to go and apply in the place that you want to establish. So you just get residency in that place, and every matter or every affair related to immigration, you do it in that city where you will be like living in. But if you have not decided where are you going to live, and you just come here to complete the process, go back, and then just start like looking for somewhere to establish, go to, I mean, do some homework, get in contact with a consultant so they can let you know which city would be the best for, I mean, to adapt to your travel schedule. Because here in Querétaro, we have like we have the possibility of getting processes done in 1 or 2 days. But I mean, San Miguel de Allende was also very good for that. Right now, like one day to another, they started doing completing processes in 5 to 6 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, Mexico City, they sometimes they like to give appointments for the same day. Sometimes they give appointments 2 weeks in advance. Sometimes they keep changing. And for people that want to get procedures done in the area of Cancun or Playa del Carmen or some of these areas, since they are very touristic, INM offices are kind of they take advantage of that a little bit. So if you want to get your procedure done in a couple of days, you have to pay an extra fee, and that's like, I mean, aside from your regular fees, aside from your consultant fees, aside from anything, you have to pay an extra like express fee to them. So those kind of things are very I mean, depend on the office, and you cannot expect to I mean, to get the same treatment or price in every city that you go in. So we have had some of that confusion with some clients, because we kind of give them like a quote for the service, but I mean, this is like 4 hour service for things that we can know how to, I mean, what they cost. But for this kind of stuff, it's just an extra that it can be done if that's what you want to do, but you have to do it like the way they want to do it.
Okay. What's the fee for rescuing people out of the rain?
That's included in our service.
We were last year. We were in the INM office, and the clouds started rolling in, thunder and lightning. Then it poured down raining. Then the power went out.
Yeah.
While we were waiting, fortunately, each workstation there had a UPS, an uninterruptible power source, so they were able to keep working.
And it was scary. Yeah. We were sitting in the dark in the whole building. The whole building was dark.
And so the rain came down. I mean, it was like someone taking a hose and just whoosh. So once we finished and we had gotten our cards and everything, and we were coming out, we walked out to the street, and the curb in that area is high. I mean, it's about maybe 1.5 to 2 feet, maybe high.
It was high.
And the water was coming up over the curb, and we're like, oh my goodness, how are we going to get to our van? All of a sudden, we see this car come. Whoosh.
Dun, 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 dun.
Mario jumps out with his cape on. Mario to the rescue! And he opens the door, and we had to actually literally step because the water was almost up to
the water was like right there on the curb. The street was here, the curb was here, and the water was right up there. So we would have definitely been swimming
and had to take. I was looking at taking my shoes off, and my socks off, and go, okay, I'm just.
I was gonna see if I could get a piggyback ride.
So, and he picked us up, took us to our van, and in the van, he also had a really nice gift for us, gift basket, which was great. Yeah. Great service. I mean,
we can't recommend.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing because we were like, how are we gonna do this? And all of a sudden, it's Mario. It's like he popped up out of nowhere.
But we know that you've seen a lot and have had a lot of experiences working with other people, expats who are trying to come to the country. What would be some mistakes that you've seen that people have made that when they're trying to do this process? I mean, I'm sure you could probably tell some horror stories.
Yeah.
Especially about those who don't bring their umbrellas.
Yeah, you never know. It doesn't rain that much here, so whenever it rains, it's like a surprise for everybody.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So yeah, yeah, I remember that because I saw you kind of. I mean, we're always waiting outside. We're always like around the area. Most of the times we try to get in and be there with you, but they don't like us to be. I mean, just crowding the building. So
Right.
it's like okay, they say like wait outside, and we just stay around. So I just kind of saw you like all like kind of worried about
Our
like
face like,
where to go.
ah!
I wasn't expecting
And
that amount of water. I didn't expect
Yeah,
it to
no.
be that high, and it was like we were looking at a small creek.
Yeah.
Like the water was just like
And
waves of water.
it was like rivers of water
Water.
going down that. So Querétaro does kind of flood.
Yes.
For those of you who are interested in moving here, it
Yeah.
does flood from time to time
when it
There's a
does
lot of
rain.
So yeah.
So some areas because I mean we're not like very like used to that, so
Yeah.
it's kind of city's not that prepared for heavy rains, but it doesn't happen that much.
Yeah.
So just getting back to the question, so mistakes usually it's the paperwork is not. I mean, it's not something like impossible to do. I mean, the complication comes when if you go in online and you look for. I mean, you go into some website or even the government website where it says like how to do it. It's not very clear or very complete information. And if you go look for some like videos, usually they are not that updated because the process keeps changing and changing, and it's almost never the mistake from the person. People are usually very thorough with trying to do it, but even when you are very thorough, you can get rejected because of some specific criteria that they just kind of decided that is it's very necessary on that day.
Okay.
So it is we have had like a lot of like mistakes at the first years because of this, because they were like, no, you have to change this in that way. You have to word it in this specific way, or I mean, just change the form, so we kind of know how to kind of prevent all of those little different criterias.
Mhm.
So we are prepared in case that they say, no, you have to change it. Okay, no worries, I have it here. So because we know that this kind of things happen. Other than that, people usually doesn't bring their paperwork like complete, like with copies, with everything that they need, or the form it's like incorrect, the actual like purpose of the procedure, um, the way or the times or how to schedule an appointment or get a number to be seen. Those kind of things are usually what like confuses people a lot, because they just appear at the office and they say, no, we cannot take you, and they don't understand why not, or how to do it, or how to get there. um, and and also addresses, sometimes they like word the address in some way that the office doesn't like, don't like it. For example, when we were with you for the renewal, we submitted the form with an address, and they didn't have on their system. I mean, because their system also doesn't work, so they kind of eliminate some information time to time. So they didn't have like the interior number of your house, but we do have it. We did have it on the form. So they kind of I mean, I bet you didn't notice, but Natalia at the time was like kind of trying to figure that out with the person. And I mean, it's not, it's mostly a matter of knowing how to deal with the office, or these persons.
That's what they were discussing up there at the window. Because I saw her frantically going through papers and trying to figure out the address. Didn't know it was the address, but they were working on something.
Yeah,
And it's just a matter of like kind of how to working around those kind of things. So that's the most common mistakes. It's not even like mistakes. It's just a matter of knowing how to deal with the government office in Mexico.
Well, that when you talk about the address, this address here is not listed under Google. So, and maybe that was the issue, because when the street and the community was first created, it was on Camalinas
giving our address on them?
But no, but because of where it's located, it's not the same, and so it doesn't list it. I mean, we've had people take Ubers here and go, it stopped out here on the street. We have to go get them.
So addresses are kind of tricky in Mexico.
So that's
sometimes. Just a word of warning for those who are interested. What I wanted to, there's a question that we had, or someone made a comment. When you change your address as a temporary resident, do you always have to identify or give that forwarding information to INM? Do you have to go in every time to change your address?
Yes, they
want you to keep your information updated. They want you to keep your information about either your name, nationality, marriage status, and address and workplace. So in case that you are working here, you have to update your workplace. Your address has always to be updated. They give you a 90-day time frame or window to do the change of address. So it is not like I just moved and I have to go there like not right next day. You can kind of schedule it. It's not very pleasant to go into the immigration office, so you have some time to prepare yourself and go there and ask for how to do it. But yes, you have to keep updating your information, and if you don't do it, you will get a fine. So it's important to do it.
Okay.
Another question was, if you started off in a work visa, came to Mexico to work for a company, and then no longer were working for that particular company anymore, can you switch to being just a regular resident type of visa? Or do you now have to leave the country and come back in through the other channels?
Well, ideally, I mean, for regular procedure, or what they're gonna tell you is that yes, you have to, I mean, just let it expire, leave, and that's it. We always advise for either you get another job or get another employer, so you don't have to stick to that company. You can just, like, if you are not working, no longer working for them, just get another job and get them like to give you a job, and then you just do the change of workplace and your renewal on that same way. Or you can, if you, I mean, find somebody in that time for you to get married, you have children, you can change that. Yeah. But in essence, you cannot change like the way of I mean, how you got your visa or your residency on the first place. So you have to kind of start all over again. That's what they want you to do, but it's a matter of looking for alternatives.
Okay. All right. I think we've got our questions in.
Yes.
I'm looking at our list here. Yeah. So if anyone has any other questions that we didn't get to, that you forgot, or maybe thought of something, or that you wanted to kind of ask that, you weren't sure, that's the guy to see right there down below, right there.
Yeah.
Mario of EXO Consulting. We want to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. It's a pleasure. And just, I mean, as you know, I mean, this is just about like immigration only, but we can help you with a ton of things. We have, there's a ton of procedures that you need to do after you get your residency, your tax ID number, your bank accounts, your senior discount card. If you want to buy a car, get it registered. You want to buy a house, you're gonna have to do the closing process properly. It's important for you to do your homework to avoid any scams, any mistakes, any frauds, and yeah, we're building up our company to be able to help as much as we can, to be like a one-stop shop. So you don't have to worry about looking for service providers anywhere. We have a big team and enough knowledge to do, all of it. So yeah, anybody from your audience can hit me up and we'll try to help them.
Yep, because we're going to be the guinea pigs. We're going to go. We got to do all of that, all of the things. We've got our RFC, we've got our bank account, and now we've got to actually go do other things like buy a car, look for a house or land to buy. Mario definitely is the guy who will be calling. So we want to thank you guys, and thank you all also for tuning in and staying with us, hanging in here, and
Right.
giving us these questions. These were fantastic.
Fantastic.
And we
Yes.
want to thank you guys for hanging up for the first of the month.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Well, I think that that'll be it for us with Mario. We probably will see Mario sometime in the near future for another reason. However, if you
Involving
have,
some barbecue.
yes,
I hope.
Yes,
Some
I
ribs.
burned it.
yeah, yes, yeah. And I definitely will have some ribs going for you. Some sides that you probably or may have had, some coleslaw, maybe some potato salad. And since here in Mexico, we haven't been able to find what we've been considered Boston baked beans, we're going to have to, we have to figure out the ingredients, but
We'll have it ready. We'll have it ready for
we'll
you.
have it ready for you and bring your crew, Natalia and
the whole
Alex
gang.
and the whole gang to come over for some barbecue. But we thank you, Mario, for all the things that you have done. Your crew is great. Natalia's been great. We had a conversation with Diego yesterday. He's a good guy.
Great
So he's
team,
got a great team. Great team.
So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for coming. And we'll see you guys on the next one in the next month.
Yep. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.